All right, welcome back. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce our next guest. And in fact, we have an entire panel here, plus some that you're not going to see behind the scenes. But a lot of support, and that is key. And so your first name is Zach, and I was saying that I have a Zach at home as well. So you're age 9, and we're going to, this is your mother. And okay, it's help me with the first name, I'm sorry.
Soyla.
Soyla, okay. And this is a friend of yours. And how long have you two known each other, by the way?
Well, I first met Zach about 3.5 or 4 years ago, because every Monday morning my husband and I go to the Donut Palace for what we call our donut date.
And I like that date, by the way,
yes,
Judy.
I do too.
Judy, and it's Judy Smelzer.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we started going, and I would see this mother and her 2 little boys there every Monday morning also. And so I just started talking to Zach one day, and we became buds. And
well, I can see why.
He's become my best bud.
Okay, and finally, and I'm going to bring you in I'm going to introduce their story, and then we're going to talk about this, but you have a key element here. It's Deborah Simpson. You're part of a business here in town. I'm going to let you talk about that and briefly how you heard about Zach, and then we're going to backtrack a little bit.
All right. My name is Deborah Simpson. We have Simpson Homes between Ingram and Kerrville. And Judy walked in one day, and she said, I have a friend. He's going to be 9 years old, and his only wish for his birthday is a playhouse. And she pointed to the one we had out in the parking lot, and I said, well, okay, let's see what we can do.
Okay.
So,
how long ago was that, by the way?
About a month ago.
Okay,
yes.
So, and when was your birthday, Zach?
June the 27th.
June the 27th, so you just turned 9, pretty much. Okay, and before we go on, you have 2 brothers, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. One is going to a college, and we won't mention which one, right? So, kidding. No, proudly to say he's going to Texas Tech. And you have another brother that's going to high school, is that right?
College.
High school.
You have 2 brothers?
Eli's going to go to high school. Where's Eli going to go to high school?
I can't remember.
OLH.
Okay. Well, and if you don't, can you hand the mic to your mom? I first want to, let's talk about Zach's story, because it is, I believe a lot of us were familiar with it, but I would love to hear firsthand from you, if you don't mind.
Okay. Several years ago, he was diagnosed with having a brain aneurysm, and we didn't know the severity of it, and we found out that it's inoperable. And at that August of last year, they only gave him 12 months if we didn't get the radiation treatment that he needed. And so we went to all sorts of doctors, Mayo clinics, sent in film, and nobody wanted to take his case because it's in a very difficult place. They can't do surgery, and it's on a main vein. So they can't just go in and snip it like other aneurysms. And so we found a doctor in Virginia who said that if we flew up there and they did the test, that they may be able to do the radiation treatment.
When was this, by the way?
This was in December of last year.
Okay.
And so we flew out there, and they ended up being able to do the radiation treatment. And that takes approximately 2 years before they know the full effects of the radiation.
Okay.
And
so it hasn't been quite a year yet. It's been about 8 months.
Eight months.
Okay.
And we were supposed to fly back at the 6th month so that they can compare the film and see if it's collapsing the arteries the way they wanted them to. And a month before we were fixing to fly out, the doctor from Virginia called me and said that he did not recommend him to fly because he's had some problems, going to the ER and stuff. That those films he has gotten, and he saw the films, and he doesn't think that he should fly.
Okay.
And so he called in the orders into San Antonio, and we had the test done in San Antonio, and so I'm waiting for the final response from the doctor from Virginia to see where we're at, but at this point they don't think it's the radiation's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So
okay, I'm curious if how old was he when you said several years ago when he was initially diagnosed? Do you remember?
Well, he had been having headaches, and the headaches were like really, really bad headaches, and throwing up, and then his nose would start bleeding, and so that's how it got diagnosed. He was towards the end of his kindergarten year, so it's been he's going into, so it's been about two years. It was in October of 2000, 2007.
Okay, and before we discuss, because I want to bring it in, because I think the story is so heartfelt, because we live in a small community, just the way you all met, and then you were introduced to this, and he looks fabulous, I have to say. But as a parent, I mean, you need that support system, and you also need, I mean, the normalcy of life. Do you go to school? Does he go to? I mean, is he about to start back up in 2 weeks? How does all of that work with?
Yeah, he's been going to school. We've tried to keep it as normal as possible. We try to not focus too much on that and let him feed off of that, because it just makes it more difficult for him. So we treat him just like any other child. I mean, the hardest part is disciplining, you know, because you want to so much, you know, give into that all the time. But we try to keep it as normal, let him be a little boy. There's a lot of things he can't do that we have to, you know, watch what he does. He can't do PE recess. The school has been really awesome in accommodating those things for him and making it where it's more fun for him and not something that he cannot do.
Just an added stress, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I do love this story. So you all met, and I guess just a friendship blossomed. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Her and her husband would come in, you know, every Monday at the same time, and so we were there at the same time. And so it became to where Zach became real familiar with them and would then start speaking to them, and the next thing you know, he's having his own conversation with her. And
oh, absolutely. Tell us some insight about Zach, if you will. That's something that makes him, I know a lot makes you unique, but something that we may not be aware of.
Well, when I first met Zach, when we would first go there, he really, really, really didn't feel well. Yeah. And he would come in some mornings and he'd lay his head down on the table, and he couldn't even eat or anything. So I'd go over and I'd lay my head down on the table, and we'd have a little conversation with each other. And then he got better and better, and we just kept having fun being around each other. And then we just planned every Monday morning. I mean, we'd have to call each other if we weren't going to be there for some reason, because we wonder, oh my gosh, what's wrong,
Well,
Zach?
you know, because donuts are a dietary staple.
Absolutely. I'm sure they must cover the basic food groups somehow.
Well, I do want to say too, because I mean, you have to be so commended, because besides obviously dealing with this, it's emotionally draining. I mean, where do you work? And I know sometimes that even affects people's livelihoods, that kind of thing.
I work at a Calvary Temple Church, and full time, and so they're real good about
accommodating.
Yes, and letting me go to appointments and stuff. And yeah, it has been very drainage, but about the time that you feel like you're ready to give up because you don't want to do it anymore, people call you and give you words of encouragement. They let you know that they're praying for you, and that's like the most important thing that we feel. You know, if we get the prayer, we can get through one more day.
Okay, and before we take our first break, I'm curious, what is this article that you're holding?
Oh, well, I just brought this because I asked Zach what he wanted for his birthday a few weeks before, and he said, I don't know. And I said, Zach, if you don't tell me what you want for your birthday, I'm going to get you, do you remember what I said? Underwear.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said, oh, no, not underwear. And so that kind of became a joke, if you don't tell me. So finally he said, well, really, the only thing I really want is a playhouse. And I thought, how is this going to happen? So I went and looked at storage buildings and that kind of thing, and I couldn't find anything that really fit the bill. And I was reading the paper, and I saw this ad for Simpson Homes. And as you can see, I ripped it out, and here's a picture of playhouses. And I was like, oh, my gosh. So that's what started my journey to The Simpsons. And
so enter Miss Deborah.
Enter Miss Deborah.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to enter her in just a minute. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and focus on what he did receive for his birthday right after this.